This video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 types of energy fields that are influencing your life and you don't even know it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this vid, I'm going to be sharing with you going deeper down the rabbit hole. Deeper down the rabbit hole into understanding a little bit more about how reality works and a couple ideas I've touched upon in prior videos but haven't really gone deep enough down the rabbit hole. So energy fields. Let's first off understand that when it comes to thoughts and emotions, we think that thoughts and emotions do not have form because they're invisible to our eyes. So we assume that because we can't see it, they just don't exist. It's just happening inside the mind. But in actuality, the thoughts we think are literally things. They have an energetic pattern based on the thoughts we feel, the emotions we have, and those thoughts go into the world. And when like thoughts team up with like thoughts, they get together and they go, yo, what up? Yo, what up? How you doing? These like thoughts then team up and become larger thought forms. So an example of this would be you driving down the highway, going wherever you want to go. And what happens is somebody cuts you off and you get angry. You say, why did they cut me off? And in that moment, you link up your thought energy that's coming out of your body with other thought energy that is close by on the highway, because many other people have been cut off on the highway before. And you link up and then feel an even increased emotional field and an emotional reaction because so many other people have thought and felt the same type of thing. So this is cool to understand because we see then a lot of the thoughts we have aren't even really ours. If we're unconscious, you know what I mean, then we won't actually know and feel that it's not something a part of us. But there's this common thing where we do, and what we do is we identify with our thoughts. We think that the thoughts we think are our own. And almost every thought that we have in our life is actually not our own. It has come from something that has happened in our life, and something outside of us that happened, by the way. And in a moment we decided, this is who I am. Somebody may have said, you're a very shy person. You may have said, oh, okay, I'm this label, I'm a shy person. And then you started to identify with that shy person, and all your thoughts, all your actions, and all your emotions have then always been consistent to that little label of you being a shy person. But guess what? You're more than a shy person. And you don't got to judge yourself. And you can understand that a lot of these thoughts are just regurgitations from other people, belief systems, maybe even you absorb some of the beliefs of your parents, of your environment, of your peers. And we start to see it as that. You see that in a way, you are carrying around the energy fields of other people, and they're not even yours. They're not even yours. They're someone else's. But once again, we identify with those thoughts. We think those thoughts are who we are. We have those thoughts and we attach to them. The problem is we attach to these thoughts. So that's kind of an analogy of how our thoughts actually have form. And in general, there's a thought field around our body. There's a thought field around the planet. There's a thought field around, and there's different types of thought fields depending on where you go. So let me go ahead and get deeper into this video. And the first one has to do with understanding the social conditioning thought form that we are all a part of, whether we're aware of it or not. Now, the degree to which we're affected will depend upon how much we react to our environment and how much we believe everything we're told. So even a thought form such as someone winning the presidency. Someone winning the presidency that you don't want to win. Now, there are many, many other people that did not want the president to win. And if their thoughts and their emotions were linked up, and they were feeling those thoughts and emotions, then what they have actually also done is tapped into this universal, or not universal necessarily, although there is a universal thought energy field, however, to the social conditioning of that environment. So anywhere in the United States, probably even other places more so than others, but you could feel this culture. And if you, since we're all connected, are linking up your thought energy with that of many other people, you are then tagging onto the energy momentum of that. Now on the other side of that, you may have loved that the president won, And because of that, you felt even more positive emotion because of it. This works in both types of ways. So when you look at this, you can then be aware of also different cultures. For example, in certain cultures, women are not allowed to wear and show their body. So there may also be a tendency to treat women a certain type of way based on that type of thought form. So when somebody travels there that normally would never have thoughts negatively towards women, they may start to not feel as positive towards women as they used to, because they're tapping into, unconsciously, that energy field of that culture. Now, in a similar way, you may go somewhere, and maybe you go somewhere and this tribe loves elephants. And maybe you normally thought elephants were whatever, but the tribe loves elephants. But when you go, you start to see elephants as divine, as sacred. You start to feel more of a connection with them. Because you are in and within and visiting that tribe who thinks a similar way, you will start to feel something similar to them. But in general, when you're born into a society, and when you're born into a certain level of conditioning, you take on the collective energy field of that place and of that culture. So, when we're brought up in the educational system, for example, there's a certain belief that in order to be successful, you got to go to school, you got to go to college for 4 years, you got to graduate, you got to get a job, you got to work for 30 years, and you retire, and blah, blah, blah. And if something doesn't happen according to the blueprint, you may feel the negative response to that, and the negative response may also be the same negative response that millions of other people have had that were in the same boat. So start to understand that literally your thoughts are things, and that there are other thought forms. Think of them like bubbles. Think of them as energy bubbles that are floating around. And as you walk around in daily life, you are linking up with these bubbles if your thought resonates to it. Now here's the good thing. If you vibrate at a high frequency, those thought forms don't have as much power over you. So in a way, this is about being aware of your vibration, because when you raise your vibration, you transcend those lower vibrational thought forms. If somebody comes up to you and says, "I hate your shirt," and you go, "Oh, you do?" And you start to resonate with them, and you start to believe that maybe your shirt is bad, then that will affect you. But if someone comes up to you and is like, "I hate your shirt," and you're like, "All right, bro, cool," then it won't have any effect on you, because you're not resonating, you're not agreeing to that reality. So in general, one of the best things that you can do is to simply focus on raising your vibration. Now, how do you raise your vibration? You start to observe your thoughts. And you understand that you are unconditional love and bliss. That is who you naturally are. Thoughts are attachments that bring you down in vibration. And when you realize, this is the key, realize that your thoughts, most of your thoughts, are not even yours. There was something that happened in the past and you identified with it, therefore you held it within your energy field. So when you're aware that they're not yours, they're much easier to give up. When you think they're yours, that's when it's hard. Also, when you think, "I am feeling sad, I am feeling whatever emotion," then you're going to have a certain identification with it, because when you say, "I am sad" or "I am anxious," I am blank. That is self-reinforcing reality. Prophecy. You're just continually reaffirming that, therefore that's reality. However, see that as a feeling. I am feeling sadness. I am feeling happiness. I am feeling. Whatever you are feeling is something that you aren't necessarily, that's not just who you are, you're just feeling it. Because emotions are energy in motion. Emotions come and emotions go. You may feel anxious now, you won't feel anxious in a week. Or however long it takes, but the idea behind it is that emotions are energy in motion, and the thing is I'm sure you can remember other times in your past when maybe you felt negative emotion, eventually you move past it, and eventually you start to raise your vibration, eventually you go back. So know that. Give yourself permission to observe your thoughts, give yourself permission to not identify with your thoughts, and understand that the more you exist inside of your heart, the more you increase your vibration, and the more all those other things don't affect you, like duality, for example. Duality affects you more when you are reactive. Most people are just reactive to everything that's happening. Someone says something, reactive. Something happens on the news, reactive. All of these things lead up to that reaction. Instead, observe what's happening, because what is happening is just happening. That's it. Things really aren't positive or negative in life. They just are. But we tag on the meaning as to what that means is positive or negative. Therefore, that's the effect we get out of things. So that's the first one, understanding the collective thought form that we have based on our culture, our environment, where we were born. And as you become aware of it, you can start to transcend it. Just raise your vibration. Just raise your vibe. That's it. Now the second one has to do with the locational energy. So you may travel the world, you may go to different places, and as you go to these different places, you may pick up on different energy fields. I know I love going to Sedona every so often, probably go to Sedona the next week or two. Whenever I go to Sedona, I love it. It is such a high vibrational energy. I feel really good. It gets me more in alignment with who I am. And that's because the type of energy there is just very high. So when I go there, I can feel the energy of it. Now, on the other side of that, you may go to a haunted house where people pay money to stay in a hotel that makes them feel afraid. The energy they feel while they're in that hotel room is accumulating, and then more and more people go in and have that fear energy when they go in because, well, maybe the house is haunted. And what happens is that builds and builds and builds, and then when you go there, you feel that same type of fear energy. And some people get a thrill out of that. However, be aware that thoughts literally have an emotional, energetic pattern that stays within the locational energy of where we are when we felt that emotion. So you can see as well, there's places on the earth, on the planet, that vibrate at a high frequency. Some of these are very holy places. You go to sacred places on the earth. One of those could be Sedona. But there's also other places, like Machu Picchu, Peru, for example. Has a high vibration. And when you go somewhere like that, you will feel the energy of that place. Now, on the other side of that, there may be negative places. You may go somewhere where there's been war. And when you go there, even though maybe it's been 100 years since there was war there, there may be a certain type of vibe there, and you may feel that. That energy field is affecting you, and unless you become aware of it, it will continue to affect you. But once again, if you resonate with the thought frequency of that, if you assume that it has no power over you, and if you know and you just simply are like water, like it's just flowing through you, it's not attaching to you because you're not identifying with it, then it won't have power over you. So I say all this because as you become aware of it, you can see how you could change your life. For example, the last couple days, I was thinking about something consistently that was in a way kind of irritating me. And I was working through observing my thoughts. I was going through releasing patterns. And as I did that, I realized that for 2 or 3 days, I was walking around my house feeling that way. And even though I was coming out of it, and I was starting to feel way, way, way better, part of me would still get dragged back into some of those negative thoughts. And I'm like, why is this happening? Then I remembered this idea that I have been thinking these thoughts consistently in my house, leaving an energetic trail, a pattern around my house as I walk around, and that has stayed there until I cleared it out. So what did I do yesterday? I opened up every single door in my house, the outside, and it's cold outside, so my house went from like 75 degrees down to like 68 or 70 degrees. So I open up every single door, and then what I do is I sage the house, and I imagine bringing all the thought forms out. I use a visualization and intention exercise, and I push out all the energy and transmute it, and I do that through my whole house, and afterwards I felt so much better. I feel like it's not tagging me back into that thought form anymore. So be aware of how you think and how you feel in your environment. I have a certain room in my house that I only meditate in. It's a closet. It's a big closet in one of the rooms. And in it, I have some crystals. I have like a candle with a flame on it. Flames on it when I light it. But it's there, and when I go in there, the only thing I do is meditate. So there's a certain energy in that room. It's like a sacred space. And because of that, when I go in there, it's easier for me to tap in because the only thoughts I have in that room are thoughts of observing my thoughts or being present to the moment or bringing the energy inside of my heart. So find ways that you can do this same type of thing or how this may be influencing you. If you go to your job every day and there's many people that are unhappy, you may resonate with them, not only because you're around them, but those thought forms, the trails of the manager being power tripper, you may walk around and start to think the same exact things. And that might be influencing you without you even knowing it. So be aware of that. And as you be more aware of it, it then has less power over you. Now, the final energy field that is influencing your life that you don't even know about is your own energy field. A lot of people don't realize that there's an energy field that goes around their body. And in this energy field is an accumulated amount of emotions, thoughts, and the actions you take even have an energetic pattern to it. And within that energy field is all of these things. And until you become aware of it, it will continue to run itself in the same type of pattern over and over and over again. This is why awareness is always the key. So let me ask you a question. Are you aware what's inside of your energy pattern? Because in the past, there may have been something that happened that jolted you into feeling a certain way, and because it made you feel a certain way, it started this energetic pattern that then kept on repeating itself over and over again, because there is also a toroidal field around our body that goes in and out, in and out, in and out. And as it does that, it brings similar situations, similar things into your life, and the more you become aware of it is the more you can decide to let go and actually complete the past. You complete the past by observing the things that have happened in the past and feeling it and allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel. If you allow yourself to feel the emotions that come up, they begin to go away. You then begin to complete the past. So be aware of what's in your energy field. Your vibration is a combination of how you think, feel, and act. If you find that you're doing the same things every day, it's because you are just priming and living within that same personality, the same identity over and over and over again, because the thoughts you have you identify with, the feelings you have you identified with, and the actions you take are the way you think it is. Let go of all of these and branch outside that comfort zone. Branch outside that self-image. Do something you haven't done before. Be spontaneous. Step into the unknown. These things are all ways to influence your own energetic pattern so that it no longer has as much effect over you. This is powerful, especially when you begin to consciously decide to do it in your life. Now, the most powerful way I found to do this, to let go of that energetic pattern blockages within your body, is to do something called the completion technique or the completion meditation, which is a meditation that I have made based on understanding something called the completion process, where you feel the emotions of whatever comes up, you feel them, and then you let them go. It's going to be in the top of the description box below. It's a YouTube video. Read the comments just to see what's possible. Listen to it for 21 days. It will transform your life if you do so. You will let go of the patterns of the past and then flood yourself with unconditional love energy. So, do that for 21 days. Watch what happens. Also, I'm going to be doing more live Q&As on Instagram. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, you'll see that right there. I do Q&As almost every day. Plus, I do that very often Instagram posts. So if you want native content from there, you can do that as well. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification gear so that you can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.